president foremost to be the ones to basically be the inheritors of, which is why he has so much dealings with those in the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. And it's a perfect representation of what we're dealing with today. Most of the people who are being affected in the mainstream by this thing are the same people who at one point or the other was involved in some of the unseen, or like I said, hidden hand dealings of the left hand path that they're now all paying for. You know what I'm saying? So starting in 2000, you had Y2K, then you had the anthrax, then you had the West Nile virus, then you had the SARS, then you had the bird flu, then you had the E. coli in 2006, then you had the economy, so everything was just bad. So from there we get the swine flu. From the swine flu we get the BP oil, because that was going to destroy the archipelago, right? Then from there, 2012, you already know the Mayans, but that actually was the end of their lease. So then from there we go back to the nuclear scare through North Korea with the nuclear bombs. Then we go to Africa with the Ebola. Then we start with measles and ISIS, which, by the way, the United States just allegedly signed a peace treaty with ISIS, whatever that means. Then it was the Zika. Remember the Zika virus? And now we're at the corona. We're in the coronavirus. Right. Right. That's an example of the hidden hand, or those who work with those type of people, allegedly. But again, at the same point, some people just have taken pictures like that. You know what I mean? You got to go by what the verifiable evidence is of the participation. Is these people that have these signs and making these signs, are they on any rosters or roles in any Masonic Freemasonic organization? Things like that. That's how you verifiably know. Like through records, we found out that John Wilkes Booth was basically a Jesuit and a high-level Freemason, just like Oswald, just like most of the assassins that they use. So that must mean that that's a pattern in the type of individual they use to carry out such acts. You know what I'm saying? And we would be stupid to act like that's not what it is. So when they talk about the core or the corona, they talk about the center of the sun. And that's what's killing them, remember. So it seems to be that everybody that is, yes, but it's also related to the crown. The core of the sun, the way that they see it, is really a black dot. So at the very core of the sun, we're there. You understand what I'm saying? So the fact that this so-called virus is a mutagen that basically gets shut down by basic hygiene. You understand what I'm saying? Basic hygiene kills it. So it's not really evocable like that, the way that they make it in people who have the ability to download and transmute the UVs the way that we do. You understand? Also, the less chemical stuff that you have in your body helps as well. The less, perm, or the less meat or dairy or that type of stuff, the less alcohol, the less cocaine, or whatever it is that people do, the less artificial stuff is in you, the less that stuff has the ability to exist. You could literally right now get you a black light and sleep under that at night. Go outside in the day, you great if that's the case. You can't catch it. But the thing is that you gotta understand, there was a big hoopla the other day about Caucasian, where this Caucasian people, it was some Food Network or something, and the Caucasian people were talking about how, they were bugging that black people actually wash their meat. You see what I'm saying? Like, they don't do that. I remember when my mother used to make chicken and all of that, she wouldn't just take that thing out, throw seasoning on and put it in the thing. She would sit it in lemon and lime, and you know what I'm saying? And she would show me how all this stuff would fall to the top of it and all, you know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't new to us. White people just started using seasoning. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just started doing like regular stuff that was known to regular humanity. So you can't expect these same people to have the same reality. This also proves that genetically we're different. It proves it now. Because the people that's most affected by it is people that also aren't directly so-called melanated, if you notice. The other thing about it, and now because the way that we have basically trained the internet just by being who we are and coming up in the community we came up with, now everybody's putting out the different pieces of the puzzle that we then could put together and analyze like this. This is how they spreading it. You know what I'm saying? Or one of the ways. That's not fake. So if this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, if this is part of the program, right? But the thing is, white people also don't like use like loofahs or wash rags and stuff like that. Now the other thing on this is this. Did you see what this says right here? It's COVID-19 right here, but look what this say. See that? Try to zoom it in. Oh, you probably can't really see it. It's Gaia. That's Gaia. You know what Gaia mean, right? Right. Right. Gaia mean Earth, right? Right. So this is what I'm trying to say. Like, this is what's going on. Remember, Dean Cooch wrote the book about this in 1981. So if you want to see the evidence of it, you just watch that. Right. So this is what this is how they're spreading it, but it's spreading all over Earth because of what these things mean. Like, look at this. This is the countries affected with the so-called virus, right? Now look at the graph map. How the graph map is. You see the areas, right? You see that? Now look what happens when I show the map of wait. Those are the countries with the virus, and then these are the countries caught up with the human trafficking. And it all seems to be happening at the same time. What's the odds that look at this. I go, yo boy, what's the odds of this dude? Why is it that only famous people is getting you ever wonder? What's up with that? How many famous people? How is it that a powerful attorney in Manhattan was the one that basically affected and started the infection in New York? I thought all of the disease and stuff comes from the dirty lower classes, right? That's how they pump it, right? Right. But look at this though. Trudeau, now I already told you about him. Look at him. He in blackface with his more joint. Here he is with the afro and all of that. Look, boom. Then here go your man too. Right next to the dude with that. We already know. Isaac Cappy outed this dude before he wound up dead off a bridge that Tom Hanks showed on his Instagram. like a month before. So what's the odds that he will be found dead on the same bridge? I don't know. But that's the same way Kevin Spacey walking around here with bodies. Ain't nobody getting him. Right? But remember, when he went through his situation, he dropped that thing in his little dissertation about the Queen. And he used the royal cup to show that he had some allegiance to Britain. But Britain done lost all its power now because it done broke away from the Union. So now it's by itself. So now it's right for anybody to basically come in and turn it back into whatever it was before the establishment that took control of everything in World War II. Okay? So this so-called virus that seems to only be affecting people who are alleged to be involved in heavy global satanic rituals are also in that. Now, the funny thing, too, is that this also overlaps with the 5G rollout. If you look at where it's supposed to go in all the countries, the same countries that are caught up in the human trafficking and the same countries that's caught up with the coronavirus is also the same countries that's also connected to the 5G rollout. Is that a coincidence? All of the maps reflect the same thing. How can you have different maps that reflect the same regions that are separately suffering from different aspects but are encompassed by the same circumstances? That means that that proves that there is an orchestrated move happening that we are not understanding from the plane's eyesight. Okay? So just doing the knowledge, again, this whole thing is based on the movement of people and the concealment of people's birthright and all that. So what better way to continuously support and get rid of people than by concealing their birthrights and involving them in things like human trafficking? Because it's a viable way to make money now, which is why you see so many Negroes involved with it. But if you go and you check what binds all of these people together, you would see that a lot of them are in gangs, a lot of them are in so-called social clubs. You see what I'm saying? These so-called baby Masonic groups that foster human sacrifice based upon the need for the upper echelon to receive tribute in the form of bodies. You understand? So while all of this is going on, he's talking also about establishing the gold standard back to the money. This would be an example of what they perceive a new 20 or whatever to be. Now they got another version that's circulating around and it looked more like Euros type money. But the actual gold silver stuff allegedly is supposed to look like this. Then going back from 2017, let's say to 2019 and basically 2020, this executive order is hitting the same place. This is where, look, this is also where the so-called coronavirus has made a huge so-called impact. But look at the overlap of the maps, yo. Look at this map right here. Now look at this. Look, the areas. Only one different in this is Jersey, but nah, Jersey's up in here too. You're witnessing Mexico closing the border to stop Americans from coming in. Look at what's happening, B. This is like when the waters went upside down or whatever it is, talking about the New Madrid earthquake. Another thing that's happening right now is that if you haven't checked, Antarctica is almost like 70 degrees right now. It's 75 degrees. So what I think is happening, like I said, is that this is all overlapping, and the mainstay of the virus is really the window dressing to shut down that, because the nigga who created the virus just got demoted. He just got fired. How you fire Bill Gates? Think about that. This is the guy that wanted to dim the sun. Remember a couple of weeks ago he was talking about that? Yeah, that's because the sun kills the virus, right? See what I'm saying? Yeah, because they probably knew from the testing that it wasn't going to work on who they needed it to work on. It hit the Chinese the most because the United States detonated whatever German bomb they did, and Wuhan was ground zero. But they had since 1981 to do something about it. Because your man wrote about it in the book. So it wasn't like they ain't had time. And see, that's how the devil do. Exactly. So look, remember Gia is Asian. You know what I'm saying? Pan just means is really there's an A missing. It's actually Pan is really Pana, meaning across or wide. At one point, this place was called America, Americana, right? But Pangea is again the whole thing. So from about this period, from about the 150 to 100 million period, is when we naturally had developed. Between these two periods is when we naturally developed some whatever immunities to whatever the planet that is was changing into was going to give us. So we're pretty much immune to everything, so long as we keep the efficacy of our individual temple correct, which is why every so-called religion had a dietary, or every system had a dietary protocol attached to it that would allow you to maintain the vibratory frequency of whatever system that you're dealing with. So the Christians got a vibratory frequency that they on, right? And based upon the rituals and the things that they do and the hymns that they sing, it keeps them in that frequency. So long as they eat the pork and do what they need to do, then they can stay in the blissful ignorance that Christians be in. See, same thing with everybody else. Yes, indeed. Remember that movie I Spy with Eddie Murphy and Owen Williams? They send these dudes. Remember they told you that the NBA dude was diagnosed with it? He was the carrier. He was the nigga that probably went over there and played in the basketball game. You see what I'm saying? And then they brought him back, and then that's how he was able to get rid of it that quick. Because they know it don't have no efficacy in black people. They probably made him the mule to send it over there. What basketball player getting coronavirus? Oh, the one that went over there to play for them, do the knowledge. And now he fine, right? Didn't I tell you that they use humans to disinherit each other by proxy? Or they used to infect Moors and used to send undeclared or whatever type of Moors to us, and we would have to check them out to make sure they wasn't infected. Remember? Exactly. Because they was probably the carriers. Because they used these celebrities like mules to pass that stuff. Yup. But the main one, his mama white. And remember the rhesus monkey situation. Most of the people with that got some aspect of that in a trace molecule. So of course it's going to have an efficacy in it. You don't have that. You understand? Exactly. What kind of black man named Goldberg? Anyway, this is exactly, God, exactly. So boom. So by the time we get here to the continental drift, we done already been locked down. We done been here forever. So whatever virus existed already existed in some form or fashion. That's why they always got to go back in some sort of what? Some sort of monkey, right? Because that's the closest to the DNA that they can test that's close to them. They can only test real stuff on us. But the only way stuff work on us is if we have been already broken, either spiritually, mentally, or genetically. I watched the interview with LeVar Ball, and he was talking to the dude, and then he brought up how he how his son wasn't going to get his man body until he was like 25 because his mother was Caucasian. So I'm looking at it like, why you do that to him? If you know that, why would you do that? Oh, for money, because that's how you fake revolutionary niggas used to do. Used to think by having sex with the white man and having his baby would be a way to bleach him out. But what you didn't understand was that you still doing that in his society, where his woman is still seen a certain way. And these niggas was not Jack Johnson. You know what I'm saying? You understand they created the human trafficking laws because of Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson would go into the ring, beat the white man to death, beat him almost, if not to death, get his money, get in his Rolls Royce with a string of white women, have sex with all of them, have them carrying his bags, doing all types of stuff, and then going from each state doing that. Women was leaving their husbands, leaving their families, just to hold his shoes. White men say, "Oh no, we can't have this." So if he travel across the lines with a white girl that's under 18 or something, we can get him for this. That's why Trump just pardoned him. Did Obama pardon him? No. Trump pardoned him because Trump know what it's like to get hated on. Because that nigga know what it's like to get hated on. And he know how to deal with haters. You see what's happening to them? He done created a whole fake virus for these niggas to get locked up with while everybody else is running to the store. You know how much money Amazon gonna make? And Jeff Bezos just got shut down. So you know what that means? You know what that means. All of these guys, that's it. Weinstein going down was the shit because when he went in, he agreed to testify on these niggas because they didn't look out for him. So he done now is acting as a suppressed witness, concealed witness on all of these indictments. Because all of these movies and all these rituals happened when him and Epstein was working with the Mossad and MI6 to get all of these niggas in the honeypot. They getting rid of everybody that was around Obama. He's circling the drain. Yeah. Why not? Look, back in 1952, if you had $10, you could buy a so-called native boy or girl. You dig? This is what was going on. This little boy, this is them reading the Bible. These are the Belgian colonist soldiers in Angola, in the Congo, and they hung a 6-year-old boy after they read the Bible verse about why they was going to hang him in front of his mother and his family, then went and killed the family. So you have to understand all of these types of Caucasians that you see in these lynch pictures and stuff. What is going to start to happen is that a tribunal is going to be established in which all of these pictures are going to get blowed up, and people are going to start to track down the descendants of these people, and you're going to be surprised at how far up in society and how well you know these niggas. That's why when you see these Caucasian and these black women with these white men and these black men with these white women, they're not understanding, and even if they are, they don't care, that they're basically sleeping with the literal enemy, with the people that up until 1952 was selling your children. For sex. Now, think about this. Now, the half of the industry in Africa, they be getting, especially in places like Gambia and Kenya and stuff, be from the sex trade, from these witch right people going over there and having sex with these children. This has now shut all of that down, and now all of those guys is being tracked down. So the code I'm thinking for those who are being, targeted is the virus. They coming down with the virus like these celebrities. How is it only celebrities? And they're the ones that have the best doctors, they have the best lawyers, they have the best health technicians, right? How are they catching it? How come you ain't getting it? Yes. Because because all of that is evidence. We have the evidence now to prove that this was a usurpation and that these people worked with the Nazis. They worked with the Nazis. Prescott Bush was indicted for funding the Nazi war machine, okay? This is a fact. And his son was able to become president. Do you understand what they got to pay for, what they got to answer for? Everybody that went to them rituals, all of that. Why you think this dude is coming out with the album now, being all conscious and all of this stuff, talking about inshallah and all that shit? Why you think it's happening now? Why now? Talking about how whack it is to have Jesus pieces. Like, what? You was the one, like, wearing that for, like, 5 years, 10 years. You made every nigga in the hood want one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why now? Because people going down. So they got to do things to get their image up. So we got to get what's up with these prisoners in Mississippi and all of that now. Yes, the main one. She's another one that they said allegedly came down with it all of a sudden. So going to the census, this is coming from the Princeton Theological Seminary. The 10th census of the United States must be taken under the provisions of our national constitution in the year 1880. This is after the flip, y'all. No legislation prescribing the officers or methods or taking enumeration has yet been adopted by Congress, although the Senate and the House of Representatives at session 1877 to 1878, that's the illegal government. These are the illegal guys. These are the guys that usurped everything and created the Reconstruction. Each constituted a select committee to consider and report upon the subject. If they're the House of Representatives, they're the ones that's supposed to be voting on the subject. So why are they why did each constituted a select committee to consider the report upon the subject? Why would they report upon a subject that they already involved in? Because that's a separate government that's now trying to take a census so they can figure out how to enumerate and basically reduce us on paper. So that way it worked out that there's not enough money allotted to Moors, so they can only pay for blacks, but because blacks are their wards of the state, they can do what they want to do with them. You understand? And the way to make this happen now is to get all of them, if not as many of them, lynched and denationalized as possible. Because once they get lynched and they get ran off the land goes to what? The reconstructional government. That's an occupational government running out of Washington, D.C., and now they set up a whole new constitution and put them under that. Yes, it is noteworthy fact that the United States was the first nation to provide in its fundamental law the periodic enumeration for people. The first census under the Constitution of 1790, that's us, antedates the first British census from 1801. So we are the original ones from the original census taken in 1790, because that was the last census taken from us when we was running the government. This is a document.